number 52, he said, whoever remains awake at night, who walks along an isolated path and empties his heart for batal and nothingness, obligates his soul. There are heretics who say that the world is in conditional reality. In their distorted and confused opinion, they think that there are proofs for and evidence of the years from the laws of nature. However, the truth is that their mouths speak nonsense. For the world and everything in it is only, and everything in it is only conditional reality. Only God alone has unconditional reality. But all the worlds with everything that is in them are only conditional reality. God created them from nothingness, and it was within His capability, power, and option to create them or not to create them. Therefore, the entire world and everything in it is certainly conditional reality. For yet, where does this mistake come from? That people should think that the world is unconditional reality, nanach, nachman, nachman, meuman, but no. That this comes from the fact that after the Jewish souls were emanated and drawn down, the world is indeed in the category of unconditional reality. This is because the world and everything in it was only created for the Jewish people. As known, the Jewish people rule the world. Therefore, after Jewish souls were emanated and created, God was, so to speak, obligated to create and sustain the world. For the reason why He emanated Jewish souls was in order to create all the worlds for them. However, when the Jewish souls themselves were emanated, they, together with all the worlds that are dependent upon them, were only conditional reality, for it had been possible for God to emanate and create them, or not to create them. But as soon as God decided to emanate the Jewish souls, the entire world then entered the category of unconditional reality. For since the Jewish souls were emanated, God was, so to speak, obligated to create the worlds, because that was why He had emanated their souls, so that all the worlds would be created for them, and they would rule over all of them. Understand this well. So from this evolved and was drawn the heretics' mistake of claiming that the world is unconditional reality, though the truth is that only God alone has unconditional reality, while everything else is only conditional reality. Now, the main reason for which God created the world was for this purpose, and for this reason alone was He obligated, so to speak, to create and sustain all the worlds for the sake of the Jewish people. Therefore, specifically when they carry out His will, is the world contained within the realm of unconditional reality. For the more that they carry out His will, the more they are contained. For the more that they carry out His will, the more they are contained together with all the worlds that are dependent upon them in unconditional reality. This is because by carrying out His will, they return to be contained within God, who is the unconditional reality, and then all the worlds that are dependent upon their souls are contained within unconditional reality, now meriting to become contained within one's source, that is, to be contained within God's oneness, which is unconditional reality, is only possible by way of surrender, totally surrendering oneself to the point of being contained within God's oneness. And it is impossible to reach surrender other than by way of secluded meditation, but it is for by secluding oneself and expressing oneself before God, and thereby one merits surrendering all of the lusts and negative character traits, until one merits completely surrendering one's materiality. One's materiality and becoming contained within one's source. For the more secluded meditation, but it is mainly at night, when the world is released from the preoccupations with earthly life. During the day, since everyone is pursuing earthly gain, a person is disturbed and distracted from bonding with and becoming contained within God. During the day, since everyone is pursuing earthly gain, a person is disturbed and and distracted from bonding with and becoming contained within God. Even if one is not preoccupied, nevertheless, since everyone else is at this time and is pursuing the futilities of this world, it is difficult at this time to attain surrender. Secluded meditation should also be done in a specific place, such as outside the city along an isolated path, in a place where people do not pass. For in a place passed during the day by people who are pursuing earthly gain, even if they are not presently doing so, this itself disturbs one's meditation, and one is then unable to surrender and become contained within God. Therefore one must go out alone by night, along an isolated path to a place where no human passes. One must go for secluded meditation, emptying one's heart and thoughts of all mundane affairs, surrendering everything until one truly attains surrender. One must first pray profusely, expressing oneself in secluded meditation along an isolated path until one completely surrenders something, such as a negative trait or a certain lust. Then one should continue one's secluded meditation until one surrenders another negative trait or a different lust. One should practice secluded meditation in this manner for a long time at this time of night and in such a place, until one has surrendered everything. Then if something still remains, one then surrenders that as well until absolutely nothing is left. That is, even after one has surrendered all lusts and negative character traits, something may still remain, for one has not yet to completely surrender one's self of selfness and separateness, and one still sees oneself as being something. Therefore one must toil and practice secluded in meditation profusely until absolutely no sense of self remains, until one is truly in the category of nothingness, having utterly surrendered oneself. Then when one completely surrenders oneself, one's soul becomes contained within one source, that is in God, who is the unconditional reality. The entire world with his soul is then contained within his source. For one is then unconditional, for one is then unconditional reality, for everything is dependent upon this individual, and the entire world then enters into the category of unconditional reality. Now you will see wonders of wonders, how all this clearly explains the opening Mishnah. Whoever remains awake at night is meant literally, that is, one remains awake at night in order to practice secluded meditation and express oneself before God, who walks along an isolated path. Means it said that one goes specifically alone to a place where no people pass. This is the perfect secluded meditation, specifically at night and along an isolated path. Only then can one attain surrender. This is empties his heart for bezH, that is, empties his heart from all earthly affairs in order to attain bezH, surrender. One then merits containing one's soul within unconditional reality, and all the worlds together with his soul become contained within the unconditional reality. And this obligates his soul, meaning that the entire world together with his soul becomes contained within unconditional reality. For by way of secluded meditation, one attains surrender to the point of one's soul being contained within unconditional reality. Through this, the entire world together with his soul becomes contained within unconditional reality, and his soul together with the entire world is in the category of mechiyev, unconditional reality. This is mischayev, obligates, makes unconditional his soul. The following is the Rebbe's own version. Rebbe's own version of this lesson, nach, nachma, meuman, as he wrote out very succinctly. Whoever walks along an isolated path, stays awake by night, etc. No, the essence of surrender, which is that one surrender one's self to the point of becoming nothing, thus becoming contained within God's oneness, is only accomplished by way of secluded meditation. Now, secluded meditation requires a special place and time, so that one is not distracted by disturbances. The special time is at night, which is remaining awake at night when everyone is sleeping, and the special place is along an isolated path rather than on a trodden path, so that one is not disturbed by passerby. One should go to meditate specifically along a path where people do not pass. This is walk along an isolated path. Then one is able to empty one's heart completely and to attain total surrender of one's being. This is emptying the heart for batala. Then after total surrender, one becomes contained within God's oneness, and one reaches the level of unconditional reality. For God is unconditional reality, while all things are only conditional reality. While all things are only conditional reality, but after one is surrendered and become contained within God's oneness, one then leaves the category of conditional reality and enters the category of unconditional reality. This is he obligates his soul. Nach nachman.